Hi everyone, it's Chris here from Cards.n.Colors. Hello! Today I would like to do a walkthrough and review of the Splendour Solis Tarot Inner Alchemies of Mithric Light 78 card deck, and the book comes in a very sturdy box, first edition by Alchimia, Splendour Solis Tarot. And as you can already see, this one is gilded, but in special ways. So the box reminds me a lot of the box from the Moonchild Tarot, which many people will own or know about. This is the standard edition here. I think the whole project here was on Kickstarter or some sort of platform like this, and there was also a deluxe version with a pouch, velvet pouch, and this book here in a much bigger version, but this book here is quite big, quite chunky, and as you can see, it's fully illustrated in color, which is great. Color, 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 and every card, not just the majors, every card. So this is really great, I have to say, and it's it is 224 pages of information and stuff. And yeah, I usually don't tend to use guide books or little white books or whatever, companion books. But in this case, I think you really need the book because this is quite a unique system. So, where to start? The Splendour Solis is an alchemical manuscript dating back to 1580, I think, though there are different versions of this. I think the very first version is from 1530, but the one most people are used to is from 1582 or 83. And in this alchemical manuscript or text, there are 22 tables that depict the alchemical process. And well, if you're into tarot, the number 22 has significance because it's the number of trumps or major arcana cards, and it's the number of Hebrew letters, and it's the number of path on the Kabbalistic tree of life, and so on. So, as of now, in the manuscript, there is no reference to tarot at all, but it's a striking coincidence that there are 22 tables. And yeah, the designer of this deck had the idea that these 22 tables might be connected to the major arcana or could be connected to the major arcana. So what you get here, let me show you the cards. As you can see, still sealed. And they are gilded, a matte gilding in an antique gold, I would call it. It's not shiny or anything, but it's also not rose gold or copper. On the backs you get the emblem of the sun, because Splendour Solis means splendor of the sun. Sun being the source of light and the planet associated with gold, which is, well, the aim and the great work that the alchemist tries to accomplish. So what you can see here, all the cards, again, are gilded, but it's very unobtrusive, not distracting, just the little inside borders are gold, which is quite nice and beautiful, just to highlight the different parts of the picture of the tablets. And as you can see here, being from the 16th century, you get Renaissance art. with a lot of flowers and birds and monkeys and a stag and deer and peacocks and sometimes even fruits and strawberries and whatnot. Very colorful, beautiful illustrations. And then what they did here is they combined the 22 tablets, as mentioned before, with the 22 trumps. So you get on top of the card a special name that has to do with the alchemical tablet or the alchemical theme depicted on the cards. And then you get the name of the traditional major card or trump with alchemy of. So 0 is alchemy of the fool, and then alchemy of the magician, and so on. I won't go into all the details because then this video would be a how-to video on alchemy and it would be 3 hours or more. So I just want to show you this deck because I think in the tarot community out there, not many people are aware of this beautiful deck, this very unique and special deck. So accomplishment is Alchemy of the Fool, and this first table here, I will get back to that when we reach the minor arcana. Then the alchemist is the magician. The fountain knight is the high priestess, which is interesting because here the fountain, one is silver, one is gold, moon and sun united, and you get the idea of the two pillars of the high priestess here in a way. The royal pair, alchemy of the empress. So this is the third template, or maybe the fourth, because the first would be 0, the fool. Confusing, I know. And as I understand the booklet, they just went with the order of the tablets in this manuscript, aligning it with Tara, starting with the Fool. Now, of course, you can debate this. You can say, well, no, the Fool isn't really the first trump. The Magician is the first trump, and so on. They may also have gone with the symbology of the tablet depicted. I don't know, because when I see this here, the royal pair, I think of the lovers, I have to be honest. Sun and moon, fire and water, male and female, coming together, polarity, duality. But it is as it is, and I think I haven't worked with it yet, but maybe you can feel free to just ignore this part here, Alchemy of the Empress, or you can stick to your Empress meaning, or you can read it just intuitively. You are free to do whatever you want to do, as always. So the royal pair is 3, the Empress. And by the way, the cardstock is fantastic. It's very thick, not bendy at all, so be careful. I'm usually a riffle shuffler, but I'm not sure if I'm going to riffle shuffle this, because it might damage the cards or they might break or something, not sure yet. Beautiful gilding here. As said before, non-obtrusive. If from this angle you don't see the gilding at all. When light reflects on the gold, you see the gilding, but again, it's not obtrusive. It doesn't take away from the main picture here. Great, and as you can see, the borders change also. It's not always the same border here. Here we get a bird and flowers, flowers all in all. Here we get the stag and the peacock. So the borders are different. 4 is the mountain, as we can see here, Alchemy of the Emperor, which fits with the Emperor being seated on a rocky throne, sitting in the mountains. The great tree is the Hierophant, which makes sense, the tree of knowledge, and the Axis Mundi, the tree of life. Then, well, they stick together a little bit, I have to say, I guess because of the gilding. Oh yes, and I already talked about, sorry folks, I'm a bit sick, as you may hear, but the cardstock is great, and it's this very beautiful satiny, matte, silky finish, the one that most people, including me, call buttery. It's a buttery, silky, smooth cardstock. You just want to touch the cards all the time. So the Golden King is the Lovers. The welcoming angel here is the Chariot, and you can see again a different border here. Rebus, or Rebus, or Rebus in German, is the 8th figure associated with strength, so they go with the Rider-Waite order of the cards. Which again, you can debate that, but it's as it is, and this is a double-headed figure. This reminds me in a way of the Art or Temperance card from Crowley's Tarot, a double-headed figure coming together of the red and the white, the yin and the yang in alchemical symbolism in a way. So this might go better with Temperance, but it's the 8th tablet and they decided to align it with strength. Again, you are free to interpret whatever you like to see in there or whatever intuitive hint gets to you. Golden Head, the Hermit. In a way, the golden head might be the lantern of the hermit, but this might be death also. 10, the Philosopher, is the Wheel of Fortune here, having a bath with the dove of the Holy Spirit going down. The Young Dragon is Justice, and what we get to see here is the planets. So starting from Saturn, here you can see, I hope, Saturn in his chariot with dragons in front of the chariot, and on the wheels you get the zodiac signs that are ruled by Saturn, in this case Aquarius and Capricorn. So this is a Saturnian card in a way, a card and energy associated with Saturn, and this will be important when we get to the minors, because the minors are heavily based on the planets or the spheres of the planets. Then in the border around the central image of the young dragon, we see work and stuff, that's areas of life that are associated with Saturn. Hard work, work of the earth, elderly people. Turning birds, black, white and red, which have significance in the alchemical process associated with the hanged man, and here we get Jupiter in his chariot with peacocks, and on the wheels we see Sagittarius and Pisces. And here in the border we see work and areas of life associated with Jupiter. So here we get clergy, like a bishop or maybe even the Pope. And not really sure about this one, but philosophers and so on. The white bird, 13, death. And here we get the energy of Mars, the chariot being drawn by 2 wolves. And then you get Aries and Scorpio on the wheels of the chariot of Mars. And here you can see war happening, war and fighting and knights with swords associated with Mars. Then comes the Sun, the triple dragon, number 14, Temperance. So now here the colors are all united, the black, the red, the white and the yellow, resembling or representing different stages of the alchemical process. And the Sun chariot is drawn by 2 horses. We can see the yellow radiance of the sun here. Leo, the lion on the wheel of the chariot of the sun. Yeah. The peacock, number 15, the devil, which makes sense in a way, because the peacock is sometimes in associated with the devil in a way of being proud of his feathers and stuff like that. And there we get the planet Venus, or the energy, the archetype of Venus, drawn by doves with Eros, Cupid, armor there, and then Taurus and Libra. And in the border we can see people having a dinner party or lunch together, making music, enjoying themselves, couples here, having a good time dancing. So, activities associated with Venus. The White Queen is 16 and the Tower. And there we get Mercury, the Chariot being drawn by, what is it? Hens or cocks? Roosters. And on the wheels we get Virgo and Gemini. And the White Queen, the Red King, Alchemy of the Star, number 17. And here we get the Moon, or Luna, drawn by two women, holding a crescent moon. And on the wheel we get Cancer, the Crab. And here in the border we can see things having to do with water. People on the water. Water is associated with the moon. Then we get the Eclipse, 18, associated with the moon, which makes sense because if you think about it, the trump of the moon is, well, it is in fact showing an eclipse. The combining of the sun and the moon. And this is what we get here. Child's Play, number 19, Alchemy of the Sun, which is an allegory, but this fits with the energy of the sun. So naked babies, a lot of naked babies. I hope if Kelly from The Truth in Stories sees this, she won't scream out. But they are, in a way, tasteful, not overly six-packed here, not overly strange. And the inner child fits quite nice with the sun. But again, if you want to use these cards, you don't have to read this as the sun. Maybe read it as innocence, connecting to your inner child, go out and play, have a good time, stuff like that. Women's work is an interesting concept associated with 20, the Judgment card. And what they are doing here is they are washing. Washing clothes by the river, making everything pure and white. The women's work is a metaphor or allegory for a cleaning process, which fits in a way with the Judgment. And then Mithralia, 21, the word is the sun from the back of the card, the sun that is part of the name of this whole manuscript. Splendour Solis, the splendor of the sun. So the sun is the triumph of light. So there we have the trumps. Now we get into the minors. And the minors are very, very interesting because, as you can see here, the minors do not show cups or wands or swords or whatnot. No, the minors show the Kabbalistic tree of life. And I know this is a big letdown for many people, I guess, because most people are used to read scenes, including people, like in the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition. Then there are others who like to read pip cards, showing 3 wands on the 3 of wands, or 2 cups on the 2 of cups, which is already missing the people. And here you get neither of that. You just get the tree of life with a different Zephyroth, Sapphira is one of them called, and the astrological associations to the different spheres on the Tree of Life, and different borders and different colors. So it may at first glance look like, well, okay, they had no idea what to do with the minors, so they just use the Tree of Life over and over again. But this whole system, this whole deck is very well done, and I will show you the details. So what you get is, here we start with air. So you don't get swords or cups. Sorry. You get the elemental name like air. In this deck it's sparkling air. And then you get golden earth. And you get living fire and starry water. So you get the 4 elements. And as you can see, the picture inside the picture is color-coded. So all air cards, which would be your traditional swords card, as you can see below, are yellow. The earth cards or pentacles or coins or discs are green. The fire or wand cards or batons are red. And the water or cups cards are blue. So it's the same Tree of Life, but different coloration. Then, when you follow the cards of each suit from 1, the ace, through to 10, the last card in a way, 1, 2, and so on, you can see that the elemental symbol of that suit moves along the Tree of Life, starting with number 1 in the first sphere, the highest sphere, the crown, Kether, and then moving on to the second sphere, the third sphere. And what you can see here is, when the elemental symbol, the energy, comes down from above, down to earth in a way, it leaves the spheres it previously touched with the radiant star symbol. Showing that by now here, when you get to the 4 of swords, so 4 of air, the first 3 spheres are already illuminated by the energy of air that came down from above, going through 1, 2, and 3 to reach 4. And this is a depiction of the energy of air in the 4th sphere. Okay. Next, you get the planet associated with each sphere, and so I got this out of order now. And as you might remember in the majors, we got cards associated with the traditional 7 planets, and showing the archetype or god or goddess of the planet in a chariot, a traditional depiction from the Renaissance and I think even from the Middle Ages. So cards associated with the planet, associated with the sphere of life, are incorporated into the picture. So first, 1 has the border of trump number 1, because the first sphere, Kether, doesn't have really a planetary connection. It has in modern times, sometimes it's associated with Neptune, sometimes it's associated with Pluto, which isn't really a planet anymore, and so on and so forth. But traditionally, Kether is the 1 point, something like the Big Bang. So no planet here in the card or the border. Second, this is the border of the second trump or the second alchemical tablet from the manuscript. And the second sphere is associated with the zodiac. So you get the zodiac of sparkling air, the 2 of air, or the 2 of swords. Then the third sphere is associated with Saturn. And what you can see here now, just a minute, you again get Saturn in his chariot, drawn by 2 dragons, and in the inner border, you get the hardworking elderly people with crutches. So what they did is, through photo manipulation, they made new tablets to mirror the energy of this specific card. At first glance, when you just think about it, it looks a bit too much. There's a border, an inner border, a picture, all the symbols, but all of that is quite neat in a way. It's complex and at the same time it's simple. May sound strange, but I quite like the idea. So, but honestly, I guess these cards are not very well for daily readings or daily themed readings. You could do that, of course. If you just stick with 3 of Swords, we know what this traditionally means in the Rider-Waite tradition. Heartbreak, loss, and whatever, sorrow. Or if you just read this numerologically, is this the right word? I don't know. So the energy of 3, and then combining this with the element of air, you can do that. But on a more spiritual, abstract level, I guess, if you just draw one of these cards, this for example, you could say, okay, I'm in the mental realm, in my mental body, I'm in the sphere, in the 3rd sphere on the Tree of Life. So the energy of Saturn has to do with me right now. Hard work, getting old, everything that's associated with Saturn. So basic knowledge and understanding of astrology would be great if you want to dive into this deck. But the book does quite a good job on explaining all the cards. And what they also did, I know this is a lot of stuff, but it's great and I like it. You get 4 trees of life here. 1 tree of life associated with the earth, 1 with air, with fire and water, and so on. And this concept is not new at all. And the 4 different trees are associated with different levels of reality or different levels of consciousness. So you get the mental level associated with air, the emotional level with water, the physical, material level with earth, and so on. And for each sphere in each of the different elements or levels or worlds, as they are called in the traditional Kabbalah, you get different associations. So there's 1 tree where all the spheres are associated with the different archangels. And then there's a tree where all the spheres are associated with the different names of God or aspects of God. And 1 tree with the different choirs of angels, and so on. And also this information, you find it in the book. So the cups, the emotional level associated with the Kabbalistic world of Briah or Briach, there you find all the archangels. So the 2 of Cups or the 2 of Water is associated with the archangel Raziel, the guiding archangel of the 2nd sphere. So a lot of esoteric stuff, I know. So this deck is really, really, really an esoteric deck. If you're not into esoteric symbolism, this deck is not for you. Definitely not. Just reading this intuitively for everyday life concerns, I'm not sure. No, there are a ton of other decks out there, but for deep reflection, deep meditation, deep Kabbalistic, alchemical, spiritual, even psychological, transpersonal, and whatnot work, this deck could be great. So let's move on. 4 is associated with Jupiter. So here again, Up above we see Jupiter with the peacock chariot. And the border we already saw in the trumps, where the Pope or the Bishop is crowning someone. And the next card, fives, are associated with Mars. And you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The energy has come down to the fifth sphere. And the fifth sphere is associated with Mars. So again here we get Mars and the Chariot being drawn by wolves. And here, okay, it's cut a bit to fit into the picture, but the war scene going on. You get the picture. 6, 7, 8, 9. The moon, here we get Luna again. And then 10 is the earth with the beautiful flowers and animals. And now we get into the court cards. And here again, they did something very, very interesting. So the court cards of each suit are again color-coded. So all the cards for the air or sword suits are yellow again, and so on. Green, red, and whoops, blue. But another thing you might know if you are into esoteric tarot. The 4 court cards of each suit are associated to the 4 elements. And the suits themselves are associated to the elements. So you get somehow a double element for each of the court cards. 4 times 4 is 16, and we have 16 court cards in a tarot deck. So all the pages, or the princesses, or the knaves, it depends on the deck you're used to, are associated with Earth in the Hermetic Kabbalah, originating in the Golden Dawn. So the Page of Swords is the Earth of air. The Knights here are associated with air. Honestly, I'm used to read the Knights as fire, dynamic activity, but okay. They're not on horses, so I can work with that. The Queens are water, in this case water of air, and then the Kings here are fire of air, and we see him standing in fire, and all the Kings are standing in fire. All the pages are standing on earth. All the Queens are standing on the moon or water. And why does the Knight of Swords have wings and the others do not? If you're familiar with these 16 elements, you might guess why. Here you get the elemental symbol, air, the suit being air, and the knight being air. He is the air of air, so pure air. And all the court cards which double their element, fire of fire, water of water, get these angel wings. So they are the guardians of the specific element. I will show you now some other ones. So the Page of Pentacles has, wings because it's Earth of Earth. The Knight of Pentacles does not. The Queen does not. The King of Earth does not. But again, he's standing on fire because he's the fire of Earth. Here, in the fire or wand suit, the King has wings because he is fire of fire. The master or guardian of fire. And then in the water suit, the Queen gets the wings, the golden wings, because she's water of water. A pure representation of the element of water. And as you can see, the figures themselves are the same in each suit. Here again, the king standing on fire, but the clothes and the background are manipulated in the corresponding color. And by the way, the borders are different too. So they are color coded again. So this inner border here is almost the same, but this is yellow, this is green, but then the outer border for each element is different. Yes, I know it's a lot, but it's fascinating. I would say that there was really a lot of thought put into creating this deck, and I like this. Honestly, I'm not sure if I'm going to really read and use this deck very much, but first of all, it's beautifully done. The gilding, the silky, buttery cardstock is great. The companion book is great. The Renaissance art, if you like it, is great. It's great. It's great. So, I could show you all the cards now, but they are, of course, repetitive. 5, showing war again. 7, Venus above, showing a dinner scene with music, laughter and dancing, and so on. Mentioned before, the court cards and the different borders. Now, one thing, the last thing, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment below, of course, is the first tablet, the first table of this alchemical manuscript shows this here, and the sun on this burgundy back is zoomed in on the back of the cards. So this and this is the same. And what they do here in the book is they associate this with the 4 elements. So the sun above is fire. Then we get a crown with 3 moons here, crescent moons in silver, which is water. This stuff here in blue with the stars on it is associated with air. And then the shield at the bottom is earth. And so in the court cards, you get these emblems associated with the court cards. So the pages are standing on earth and they have the shield of earth. The knights are standing on a crescent moon and they have this thingy here, which I don't know the word for. The queens are standing on the symbol of the moon and they have this moon crown with the crescent moon, the triple crescent moon. And then all the kings are standing in fire here, and they are holding the sun symbol. So again, this is not just random stuff in this, at first glance, very busy cards. No. All of this, even these small details, are really thought out. So, after another sip of tea, I think I'm done with my walkthrough, review and brief explanation of this very complex new deck, the Splendour Solis Tarot, Splendor of the Sun Tarot, Inner Alchemies of Mithraic Light, a deck based on an alchemical manuscript from the 16th century, beautifully produced, and I have to say, it's not that expensive. For all that you get here, the very sturdy box, the book, the great gilded buttery cardstock. It's not very expensive. So if you like this video, feel free to comment. Yeah, if you have further questions regarding this deck, feel free to comment. One last note. If you are wondering what happened to my Instagram account, well, my Cards.n.Colors account got hacked, I guess. I cannot log in anymore. It's frozen. It's a ghost account now. Yeah, it looks like nothing bad happens with my name, my account as of now. So everything is just frozen and stopped. But I'm not able to log in anymore, and I haven't been able to clarify this. So I started a new account. Again, Cards.n.Colors, but not with dots between cards and colors. Yeah. So if you're wondering, you can find me on Cards.n.Colors. I've linked my new account in the description box below. And yeah, I'm still the same. I'm still Chris. And yeah, I love to get in touch with you. So feel free to contact me. Have a wonderful weekend. I hope you liked and enjoyed this walkthrough, review and explaining video. And see you soon. Bye.